Tough to watch. In case you did not realize this, Caitlin Clark did not start again. But judging by the response, everybody noticed. Everybody noticed. Paige Beckers, 12 points. I got to tell you, if the ball goes to Paige Beckers, forget about it. She's not going to pass it to nobody. That's where the ball goes to die. Kaylee Copper, 15 points, 1 rebound. And Caitlin Clark, 12 points, 5 assists in the game.
Plus 27. That's Caitlin Clark's plus-minus in that game against China. Best on the entire USA basketball roster. 12 points, 5 assists, and the team outscored their opponent by 27 points when she was on the floor. So naturally, she didn't start. Again. For the third consecutive World Cup qualifying game, the most popular player in women's basketball came off the bench while less effective players got the starting nod, and fans noticed immediately.
Right now, look out. Look out. Also, what you can look out for is USA basketball getting demolished. And something I noticed, let me tell you this. When they had the first game the other night against Senegal, they put the starting lineup out there like 45 minutes or an hour before the game. Well, after the backlash of Caitlin Clark not starting in that game,
only 2 players on the entire USA basketball roster haven't started a single game in this qualifying tournament. Ray Burrow and Caitlin Clark. Everyone else has gotten at least 1 start. Think about that for a second. Chelsea Gray has started. Brianna Stewart, obviously. Even role players have gotten their opportunity to open a game, but the player who just led the league in assists, who broke viewership records, who's responsible for the massive spike in WNBA attention this season, she's coming off the bench in all 3 games. And here's what makes it even more suspicious. Before the first game against Senegal, USA Basketball posted their starting lineup graphic 45 minutes before tip-off. Standard procedure. But after the backlash from fans demanding to know why Clark wasn't starting, they changed their approach. Now they wait until after the game tips off to post the lineup on social media. They're literally hiding the starting 5 until the game has already begun, because they know what the reaction will be.
USA basketball is ridiculous. You are intentionally leaving out your best player as a starter. Yeah, I'm open. Look, people want to say, oh, don't start conspiracies. You tell me, what is it? Yeah, you tell me what the agenda is then. Because for the life of me, I can't think of no good damn reason that Caitlin Clark shouldn't have started the game by now. Seriously.
Look at those comments flooding in during the live stream. This is what happens when you treat your most marketable player like a liability. People tune in specifically to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. That's not an opinion, that's a fact, backed by every ratings number from this past WNBA season. Indiana Fever games average significantly higher viewership than any other team. Her jersey outsells everyone else's. She's the reason casual fans are suddenly paying attention to women's basketball. So when those fans turn on USA Basketball's stream expecting to see her start, expecting to see her run the offense from the opening tip, and instead they get Kelsey Plum or Chelsea Gray, they're confused. Then they're frustrated. Then they start asking questions that USA Basketball really doesn't want to answer.
I mean, wow. Cece's the only one that hasn't started yet. If the white girl was black, whoa! If the white girl was black, well, you know, she would have started every game. Facts. Look, I'm always in the chat to talk to anybody during the Ben Daniels stream, watch party on the game. I'm going to tell you right now, that gets brought up.
That comment right there captures the entire problem. If the white girl was black, she would have started every game. Now, I know that's uncomfortable to read. I know some people immediately want to dismiss that as conspiracy theory or race baiting. But here's the thing about conspiracy theories. Sometimes they emerge because the official explanation makes absolutely no sense. USA Basketball hasn't provided any coherent reason for keeping Clark on the bench. She's not injured. She's not being eased back from anything. She explicitly stated she's 100% healthy and ready to play. Her performance in the first game back proves she's in mid-season form. So what's the actual justification? Nobody from the coaching staff has explained it. They just keep rolling out the same starting lineup while the player with the best plus-minus watches from the bench.
Don't start Clark just because we want her to start. I've been watching the games. I usually don't, but I like rooting for our country. You guys are making it hard. I mean, think about that backlash against our own country's team because they won't start the best player. This team doesn't represent the USA at all. It's just a bunch of retarded liberals not letting go of DEI. Woo! Look out. Look out. What the F? Why is CC not starting?
And that's what happens when you create an information vacuum. When there's no logical explanation provided, people fill that vacuum with their own theories. Some of those theories are going to be uncomfortable. Some are going to touch on race, on sexuality, on the cultural dynamics within women's basketball. But you can't blame fans for speculating when the alternative is just accepting that USA basketball is making obviously bad decisions for no reason whatsoever. Because let's be clear about what we watched in those middle quarters against China, 22-19, 19-15. This wasn't the dominant performance everyone expected from Team USA. The first quarter saved them, but the second and third quarters were competitive, ugly basketball. Exactly the kind of game where you'd want your best playmaker on the floor, running the offense, creating opportunities for teammates.
Boycott. Woo! Look out. This is what you get. You got the most popular player by a large margin in the league. Sports is an entertainment product. I tune in. I want to be entertained. Where's the player I'm looking for? There's no damn good reason. She proved she was the best point guard. I mean, in her first game.
Here's what I noticed watching that third quarter. Clark didn't get subbed in until there were about 3 minutes left. And when she finally did get on the court, something interesting happened. She'd pass the ball to a teammate and it just wouldn't come back. She'd make the right play, hit someone in rhythm, and then she'd never touch the ball again, that possession. Now maybe that's just how the offense flows. Maybe that's coincidence. But it happened multiple times in situations where you'd normally expect the point guard to get the ball back and initiate another action. Instead, it felt like certain players decided they'd rather force their own shot than swing it back to Clark for a better look. And her scoring dried up as a result. She got most of her points early when she was aggressive, but once she started facilitating, the offense seemed to freeze her out.
17-12. Even today, where she got, and yeah, she got froze out by some teammates again. It's pretty noticeable. It is. I mean, look, she might get the ball in her hand. She'll pass it to a teammate. Forget about it. It ain't never coming back around. That's why she didn't score anymore till the very end of the game. Hell, they never passed her the ball back one time. I was like, wow. Second, third quarter, forget about it. Especially that third quarter. Good God, it was obvious. And they didn't get her.
Paige Bueckers finished with 12 points. And I'm going to say something that might upset some people. When the ball goes to Bueckers, it dies there. It's not coming back out. She's going to take her shot, make her miss, and the possession is over. That's not necessarily a criticism of her game, but it's a reality of how she plays. She's a scorer, not a distributor. Caitlin Clark is the opposite. She's looking to create for others first, and her assist numbers prove it. But that style only works if your teammates are willing to reciprocate, if they're willing to keep the ball moving and get it back to the player who can make the best decision. When that doesn't happen, when players are hunting their own shots instead of playing within the system, you get exactly what we saw in those middle quarters. Stagnant offense, contested shots, low scoring.
2 points to 19 points, 19 points to 15 points. This game, look, I understand it was a 30-point victory, but there were 2 quarters where it was really, really competitive. And wow. So, Caitlin Clark, let's check it out right here. Kaylee's going to throw the ball over to Caitlin, and Caitlin's going to drive back in the lane after the pass back from Hamby and laid it in right there.
That turnaround jumper though, if Caitlin Clark has added that to her arsenal this offseason, the WNBA is in trouble. She already has the deep three-point range, she already has the court vision and passing ability, she already has the handle to get wherever she wants on the floor. But if she's now comfortable taking that mid-range turnaround, that Michael Jordan-style fadeaway in the lane, there's no defensive answer. You can't go under screens anymore because she'll pull from 30 feet. You can't press up tight because she'll blow by you. And now you can't even force her baseline and make her take a tough shot because she's comfortable with that turnaround. That's the kind of move that turns a great offensive player into an unstoppable one. And USA Basketball is keeping that weapon on the bench to start games. Let's talk about what this means beyond just these qualifying games. USA Basketball is supposed to be showcasing the best of American women's basketball. They're supposed to be building excitement for the Olympics, for the World Cup, for the sport in general. Instead, they're actively alienating the fan base that Caitlin Clark brought to women's basketball this year. Those fans aren't traditional WNBA viewers. They didn't grow up watching the league. They came because of Clark specifically, because they watched her tear up college basketball for 4 years and wanted to see what she could do at the professional level. They're new to the sport, which means they're not yet invested in the culture, the politics, the established hierarchies. They just want to see good basketball and the player they came to watch. When you tell those fans that Caitlin Clark isn't good enough to start for Team USA, you're insulting their intelligence. They watched her average over 8 assists per game in her rookie WNBA season. They watched her break the single-season assist record. They watched her lead a terrible Indiana Fever team to the playoffs. They know what she's capable of. So when USA Basketball says, actually we think Chelsea Gray or Kelsey Plum should start over her, those fans don't think, oh, the coaches must know better. They think something else is going on here. And maybe they're right. Maybe there is something else going on. Maybe it's not about basketball ability at all. Maybe it's about sending a message, about putting a rookie in her place, about reminding her that she hasn't earned anything yet in the eyes of the establishment. If that's the case, it's incredibly short-sighted. Because here's what USA Basketball doesn't seem to understand. Caitlin Clark doesn't need them more than they need her. She's already accomplished more in terms of growing the sport than most players do in their entire careers. She's already the face of women's basketball, whether USA Basketball acknowledges it or not. If they want to keep her on the bench, if they want to treat her like a role player, she'll still be fine. Her career will still be successful. Her impact on the sport will still be massive. But USA Basketball, they're the ones who will suffer, because every time they post a starting lineup without her name on it, they lose credibility with the fans who actually watch these games. Every time they wait until after tip-off to announce the lineup because they're afraid of the backlash, they look weak and manipulative. Every time they put out a product that's objectively worse than what they could create with their best players in optimal roles, they damage their own brand. And those fans who came to watch Caitlin Clark, they're not going to stick around if you keep disrespecting her. They'll tune out. They'll go back to ignoring women's basketball. They'll decide that the sport isn't for them after all, that the gatekeepers are too invested in their own agendas to just let the best players play. That's the real danger here. Not that Caitlin Clark's feelings might get hurt, not that she might not get her starting spot, but that USA Basketball is actively pushing away the exact audience that women's basketball desperately needs. Think about the optics of this situation from a casual fan's perspective. They turn on the game, they don't see Caitlin Clark on the floor, they check the box score later and see she had the best plus-minus on the team despite coming off the bench. They read comments from other confused fans asking the same questions they're asking, and they conclude that something is broken in how this sport operates, that merit doesn't matter as much as it should, that politics and personal agendas are more important than winning basketball games. Is that fair? Maybe not entirely. Maybe there are legitimate coaching reasons for the rotation that we're not seeing. Maybe there's some tactical advantage to bringing Clark off the bench that makes sense in the context of these specific opponents. But if that's the case, USA Basketball needs to explain it. They need to provide a coherent justification that fans can understand and accept, because right now, silence is being interpreted as guilt. The absence of explanation is being filled with speculation, and that speculation is damaging the sport's credibility with the exact demographic it can't afford to lose. So here's my question for USA Basketball, for the coaching staff, for everyone involved in these decisions. Was it worth it? Was whatever point you were trying to make by keeping Caitlin Clark on the bench worth alienating thousands of new fans? Was it worth the negative press, the conspiracy theories, the accusations of bias? Was it worth looking incompetent in the eyes of people who are just now starting to pay attention to women's basketball? Because from where I'm sitting, this seems like the easiest decision in the world. You have the most talented young point guard in the game, someone who just led the league in assists as a rookie, someone who brings unprecedented attention and viewership wherever she plays. You start her, you build your offense around her, you let her do what she does best, which is make everyone around her better, and you reap the benefits of having the sport's biggest star in the most prominent role possible. Instead, USA Basketball chose a different path. They chose to prioritize something else over maximizing their talent and entertaining their audience. And now they're dealing with the consequences of that choice. Angry fans, declining interest, questions about their decision-making that they refuse to answer. This didn't have to happen. This was entirely preventable. All they had to do was start their best point guard and let her play basketball, but they didn't. And that tells you everything you need to know about where USA Basketball's priorities actually lie. So drop a comment and let me know. Do you think there's a legitimate basketball reason for keeping Caitlin Clark on the bench, or is something else going on here? Because I genuinely can't figure out a good explanation, and I've been trying.